What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchet REACT, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we're back with another American reaction. Super excited about this video. If you're new to us
and we're new to you,
make sure you scroll down,
hit that subscribe button,
and turn on the post notification bell
because we're on the road to 200K.
And we cannot get there without you guys, alright? Join the family. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
Let's get it.
These accounts are from 6 Black people that have experienced racial discrimination in their respective countries. How would you describe your upbringing?
Growing up in America has been a very complex and interesting relationship. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, born and raised. I was born very cultured, always thought about my roots. Always taught to be proud of myself, be proud of my skin complexion, be proud of my lineage. But when you step outside of your house, the world and society teaches us a slightly different narrative of what it means to be black.
Growing up in Japan was interesting.
Hold on, before he go to Japan, one of our supporters made a comment on a video. I can't think of the video. And he was comparing black people growing up in the United States versus in Brazil. So in the United States, where we are a minority, we're proud to be black. And not saying that they're not proud to be black in Brazil. It's just the history of being black. Like, you know, we're a minority here. And, you know, the history. I don't really want to go too deep into it yet. But in Brazil, where there's things like the, what do they call it? I can't think of the word. But, you know, where they try to not wipe it out, but y'all know what I'm saying. People grow up not knowing that they're black. So that was an interesting comment. Yeah, because I do feel like even us as parents, we teach our children, you should be proud to be who you are, regardless of what our people went through. And, you know, our children are just now learning that. You know, like our oldest son is just now learning the real history of our country. And he's proud to be who they are. Our boys have locks in their head. So they love their hair. They love our family history because they know about our family. So I think that is a fact. We, you know, regardless of what our people have gone through in this land, we teach our children to be proud of who they are.
Yeah, I think that if you're not around people that you can express or have conversations with about your culture, especially like if you're black with a black person, white with a white person, regardless of what it is, if you're not around those type of people, you should have friends where you can still have those conversations with, regardless of what race you're in. And that's how you can understand whether or not those people are for you or not. Some people don't like uncomfortable conversations, but if it wasn't for that group of friendships, you'll be able to have that conversation with your people.
Right.
If you're not with your people, you should be able to have that conversation with your friends. And you should.
Yeah, you should. And regardless, listen, a lot of the things that we go through today, depending on where you are in the world, a lot of things were done, although we deal with the effects of the things that were done. But a lot of the things that was done was not to the people who we see today. If you understand what I'm saying.
Oh, I get 100% what you're saying.
Right. So when we talk about slavery and the effects of it, first of all, it really wasn't that long ago if you calculate. But we still deal with things like redlining. We still deal with things like some people wanting to go back to the segregating of schools. We still deal with that today. Okay, so just gonna put that out there.
Yeah. No, you make sense. You make sense. They do have people that do say that, though. They do have people that say that it was so long ago and this, that, and the third happened and we shouldn't even be thinking about it. But I feel like the moment you erase a memory, you also erase a piece of your identity. And
you become ignorant to the fact that it can happen again.
Yeah, you do become ignorant. It's like saying, oh, I'm not, God darn it. What I was finna say? Don't worry about it. We're going to dive into it, but it should come back up.
Yeah. Because from 12 years old to 18 years old, I lived on Yokota Air Base. It was a U.S. Air Force base. So I went to an American school. My teachers taught in English. I had American teachers. We used dollars on base. We still use gallons and Fahrenheit. Outside of Yokota, right outside the gate, is the real Japan. They use Celsius. They use kilometers. They use Japanese yen for their money. We had a community, however small it was. There's a few people who looked like me, who look like Americans, you know.
There is a lot of life in South Africa. There is a lot of joy. There is a lot of pride in what is now known as the Rainbow Nation. But I think that image of the Rainbow Nation also blindsided people to what's actually happening, what majority of the country is actually experiencing. If I'm describing Khayelitsha is a township that was created under apartheid rule. It is where majority black middle to lower class people live, and it is what you would expect in that area. There is a lot of like complexity in the beauty you kind of see in this area, because you see, you know, this beautiful area of vibrancy and people who are so grateful for life, but you also see their situations and you also see their realities and their lived experiences, which kind of contrasts this beauty, and it's sort of that kind of experience.
Do you think other countries are aware of the racial inequality that happens in your country?
I think people who are outside of Australia are acutely aware of the racial inequality. However, it's not widely reported on. And so I think people have a very idolized version of what they know of the country.
The UK birthed the US, so to think that the UK is not racist is stupid. We taught the US racism. I don't want to say we invented it, but we definitely perfected it. We perfected it so much so that the people in this country think that racism doesn't exist. I think the difference is I like to call the US a baby country, and because, you know, the US is quite new, and as a baby country, they're in their toddler phase and they're still really, really loud.
Child, we
The UK is very much.
We still there?
That's new to us.
Oh, Lord.
We got a lot of growing up to do.
Yeah,
of course, you know, but we do got a lot of growing up to do.
You know what? I like that analogy, because just thinking about things, yeah, they still there.
Yeah, I mean, I like that she put it like that. But that's just the mindset of a few people, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think we even look at it like that out here.
No, because... No, because, again, going back to what we said earlier, like, oh, slavery was so long ago. It really wasn't. It really wasn't.
Sure. We're the mature older sister that can suppress and really be vindictive with their own doings. So as the US says racism is so overt, it's in your face. Ours is like very underlying.
You know, I think when people think of Canada, they think that we're so polite and, you know, we're multicultural and there couldn't possibly be racism here, but there's a lot of racism here. People of color experience it almost every day. It needs to be known. Something needs to be said about it, because we're always so quiet. And, you know, at this point in time, I'm done being polite. I'm done being quiet.
I look at the township that I live in.
Okay, so you know, look, on this channel we have uncomfortable conversations.
Sure do.
And a lot of the times the uncomfortable conversation is race. Okay? What's interesting is Canada does have that reputation of being nice, calm, and all that. I was watching a movie. Y'all know I'm always watching a documentary or a movie about history, something. And it was about, it followed from Africa around the world, you know, our people.
Okay.
And it got to when they started, the people who fought in the war were able to go to Canada because they had citizenship.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
And I want to say Nova Scotia. It's not Nova Scotia. It's one of the first settlements. I'm not really good on like the geography. I'm just not. It was one of the first settlements, and somebody made up a lie, and then there was some riots.
Oh,
and
man.
Some villages that got burned down. If y'all know what I'm saying, let me know. And so when I saw that in the movie, I'm like, I never hear anything about racism in Canada. I, as a person, never have. And so when I saw that in the movie, it kind of made me, it took me back. Like, I never hear of this. So I would love to know how, I guess I'll just have to continue listening to what she's going to say, but that was interesting for me to hear.
Yeah.
It's about 28 minutes from central Cape Town, which is the touristy area with Table Mountain and waterfront. So when a tourist is visiting South Africa, they might choose to go to places like Robben Island, Table Mountain, waterfront, all of the beautiful Instagram-worthy places. People are living very different lives from what you're seeing from those Instagram pictures.
Instagram.
An interesting thing is that many children of color don't get to go to these tourist areas,
so sad.
even though they're right here in their countries.
Yeah, I heard that
just
before.
because it's such a luxury. And so I think as someone coming in from a different country, you might choose to not see it because you're here for a good time.
Can you recall an instance of racial discrimination?
The first time I felt racism, I think I was around 7 years old. In our school, I went to an all-girls school. It was basically, you know what it is. It's the policy that if you're going to invite one person to your birthday party, you must invite everybody to your birthday party. A girl in my class, her birthday party had come around. She gave everybody invitations for her birthday. I was like one of the only black kids in the class, and when it came to me, she was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I can't give you an invitation because my mum says I can't have any people like you at my birthday party."
I was in elementary, and there were 4 little white girls that tormented me and my sister, and we used to fight every day.
Wow.
Every single day we fought because those 4 girls loved to use that N-word. And you know, I didn't really know why it was a bad word. I just knew that it was bad, and it used to hurt. Like every time they said it, it would hurt my stomach.
I was working for a company where there was a racial dispute, and when I brought it up, I was fired. It made me feel unsafe. It made me feel as though I couldn't use my voice in a constructive way. It made me really depressed.
I remember being stopped by the police because I was driving my mother's car, and they couldn't believe that a young black man, I guess, was driving an Infiniti. They didn't think it was my car. They thought I stole it. And after that instance, which unfortunately a lot of black people go through, you start to see very skewed perceptions of what it means to be black in America.
The cop stopped me pretty much.
I think all black brothers just about have that story. I have that story.
Not just black brothers, black sisters too.
Nah, real talk. I was driving home from a restaurant, picking up some food for us to eat, and I must have I passed one light, stop sign, and I made like one turn to get to my house. I wasn't too far, but the neighborhood I was in was pretty nice. It was just built. It was a very quiet street, all that stuff, and the cop followed me all the way to my house. Didn't realize he was following me, and when he finally pulled me over, he hit the lights as soon as I pulled into a parking spot, which was my house.
He was seeing where you was going,
trying to eyeball me all the whole time. And then when I pulled in, he tried to hop out his car, being very aggressive, screaming, "Get in your car, sit down," this and the third. I'm like, what the heck? I'm confused at this point. And then one thing led on to another. If y'all want that story, just
Right. Well, my first time, it's sad. It's like, it's crazy that we all have a parallel that one of our first instances had to deal with police. That's sad because we go from being...
Oh, he was a rookie, by the way. I knew it.
Easy target.
He was a rookie. They probably put him on the task to do it.
The city we was living in.
Yeah, I already knew he was... I could tell how his mannerism was, everything, but,
Yeah, so, dang it. What I was going to say? I know. So we go from a place where, when we start teaching about the community helpers and, who the police is, who the fire person is, nurses, when we start teaching that to our children, we teach them this until, people like us who's minorities encounter those people. Because I was 7. I believe I was 7. Nope, I was 9. I was young.
That's still young.
I was young.
Mm-hmm.
My uncle...
You told this story before.
I have, but that video is private. That was about the George Floyd stuff. My uncle was walking up to our apartment. My uncle looked like an alien. I'm like, what's wrong with you?
That's the exact words you used too in the last video.
My uncle is very light skinned, and he looked like, that's all I can explain it He looked like an alien with braids.
Yeah.
And he was like, the cops beat me up. And I'm young. And so instantly I'm like, I hate, so you go from teaching your children to love community helpers to things like that. And that's such a reality for us. And it's like when you look at the history of slave patrols, it's like you connect all those things, and that's why I'm like,
yeah, you just gotta have an eye for this
that
type
kind
of
of
stuff.
made me emotional.
No, you just gotta have understanding for it because it's what it is. It's just like laws today. They pass certain laws that still plays in effect years and years ago, but they don't see through it because it's how they disguise it for today.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you just gotta have understanding for it.
My entire stay there. Out of the 17 years, I've been stopped without bail multiple times. I've been stopped by cops for standing on a corner, daytime or nighttime. I've been searched. My backpack has been searched. My shoes have been searched. My underwear has been searched. And there's no problem protecting your home. The issue is, why are you stopping me when I'm trying to get to my English class to teach your kids?
How has the racial protests in the U.S. affected your country?
So the protests and everything that you see on TV with regards to America, it's really lit a fire under us to say, hey, it's happening there, but it's happening here too. Don't think that just because we live in Canada and, it's not as blatant, that it's not still happening.
When the Black Lives Matter movement got a lot of attention in terms of the media, that magnified the issue of police brutality in South Africa that has been happening. And during lockdown, there's been this fear around the South African Defence Force monitoring townships and other areas like that because they tend to be very violent. The timing was so good. I mean, it's a bad thing, but the timing was so good because then the two issues sort of combined, and a lot more attention was now put on it, and a lot more attention was put to get justice for many victims in South Africa who were hurt or died under the hands of police.
I'm so proud of the Black community globally for really coming together and deciding in this time of a pandemic, as if we don't have other things to think about, but we have come together as a collective and said, it is enough. We will not stop.
Unfortunately, this is something that every Black person, in my opinion, experiences in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's microaggressions, whether it's direct, whether it's subtle, it's there.
You can't take off this uniform and stuff. We stand out worldwide.
It isn't a lot that we're asking for. We're just asking to be treated like human beings. Right. Just give me the same recognition, the same human rights as my white neighbor. And that's it.
If a non-Black person is at a place where they are willing to look at their own internal biases, the lived experiences that they hear from Black people then, and the information and the education they get from Black people, becomes easier to understand and easier to empathize with because you're now aware of your non-Black identity.
I think we have a long way to go, but I think as long as we're having the conversations, we're on the right path.
Yeah, I think that ending was the best part right there for me. Because as long as we're having those conversations and showing it through action that we can unify with one another and not do no stupid stuff or actually stand up for one another and say things that matters, I think that's the growth we need. Definitely. I think that's going to actually show people that, we're serious about loving each other the right way.
Definitely, I agree. So, for places like the U.S., the UK, Canada, those three countries is different from Australia and Japan. And I say Australia and Japan because we don't know much about those histories when it comes to Black people.
Yeah.
But I want to speak on South Africa. The things the US, UK, and Canada speaks about,
it's parallel.
It's parallel, but it's a little bit different because in terms of years, because what South Africa has gone through, it's more recent history.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I feel I love speaking to South Africans when it comes to talking about race, because they look at it so much differently. Because people our age and up, the South Africans there, they speak with a different level of
I know
because they went through it.
I know the feeling that you're trying to say, but I can't put into words either.
Yeah, they went through it.
Yeah,
so they view things differently.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, we go through things here, and we're from Louisiana. If you look up Louisiana lynchings and just look up race issues in Louisiana, a lot of those things are recent history. Okay? Especially before George Floyd. Let's talk about before George Floyd. I think 2016, I had a classmate who was unalive at the hands of an officer. And that was during a time when a lot of that summer was a busy summer.
Yeah, there's always a time when the streets get hot, bro. Like,
yeah,
it's
so
always
it's
a
like
season.
It's too near. Like, you know, of course we got things like that, but South Africans went through it recently. You know,
there was always the babies and the children that was like, hey, first.
Yeah,
they was frontlining for real.
Yeah, so I love having these conversations like this.
Yeah, I could say more, but we're gonna close this.
Yes, so we hope you guys enjoyed this video with us. Like this video, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell. We have enabled our super thanks if you like to support the channel that way, as well as our reaction request form is in our description box below. We'll see you soon.
Peace.